Hair, you feel good?
Yes.
So should I do a little introduction? Hello everyone. We will be interviewing Margaret Bourda. She is a teacher in a primary school here in Houston, Texas. So we'll start with our first question. Please tell us your name, your current position, and your job title.
I am Margaret Bourda, and I am a 4th grade primary school teacher in Houston, Texas. I teach language arts and reading.
Okay, I'm going to do that one more time because I was messing with the mic. Okay.
You want me to repeat it?
And speak clear and just speak into the mic. Okay, and I'm going to move this out of the thing. Okay, one more time. Please tell us your current position, your name, and your job title.
I am currently a primary school teacher teaching 4th grade language arts and reading. My name is Margaret Bourda, and I teach here in Houston, Texas.
Okay, Ms. Bourda, what is your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree that is not in education. I also have a master's degree that is in education and years of experience in the classroom.
Okay, excellent. What is your bachelor's degree in? What did you major in at the university?
At the university, I majored in social studies. When I say social studies, I mean social work, social studies, not social studies for history. And I had a minor in religious studies.
Okay, so you have a very diverse kind of educational background. And I think that background in social work actually can help you in a classroom, a primary educational setting.
Exactly. When I majored in social studies, I actually majored in social science, which is the study of the individual as they intersect with culture. And I was more interested in that individual than the group. Mm-hmm. What makes the individual tick, and our society has a lot to do with how we are as individuals, even though we think it's just our personality. It's all shaped by the culture that we live in. And so that was very important to me. And having been raised in a strictly religious family, religious studies were very important to me because I had to make sense in my way of thinking about how both of these events shaped who I was.
Okay, beautiful. I love that. Okay, so you are a teacher here in Houston, Texas. I think your experience might be similar to what many teachers experience across the country. What grade level are you currently teaching?
I am currently teaching 4th grade, and I find myself attracted to 4th grade. I have taught all of the primary grades.
Okay. That's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Correct.
And just to be clear, so these grade levels, a 4th grader, what's the average age of a 4th grader?
Approximately 10 years old.
Okay, a 10-year-old, okay. Boys and girls in the classroom, or is it separated by gender?
It is mixed. There are typically a fairly even distribution of boys and girls.
And how large is your class? How many students do you have in your class?
I teach 3 sections, and each section has approximately 20 to 22 students.
So as a teacher, how many total students do you have?
About 65.
Okay, 65 total. Okay, and I've taught high school, and I know a typical high school teacher can have 180 students because high school teachers can have 6 different classes, 7 different classes, depending on the structure of the school. Okay, so question for you. What attracted you, if anything, if you didn't accidentally get sucked in, but what attracted you to the profession of teaching?
I was not sucked in. I volunteered to do this.
Okay, excellent.
As a parent, I should clarify that I had a full-time career before I came to education. So I spent many years in the corporate business environment, and then I decided that I had enough experience to work with other people's children.
Okay.
And I think that for me, that was important. I had experience raising my own children. I had experience with siblings and other family members' children. And so I decided that I had seen a diverse enough group that I felt like I could work with someone other than my own children. I was attracted to education because, as I said, I was raised in a religious family, and we had a sincere and intense training that you are to give back, that you owe it to your community to be of service. So I was working in a corporate environment where I felt I was doing a good job in the position I had, but I couldn't say that the community was better because I did that job.
Okay.
And I was attracted to so many students I saw struggling, and I thought, I understand that child. And I think I could work with that group. So I was attracted to the opportunity to give back in a meaningful way. And I think we all give back in our own way, but I wanted to give back in a way that gave forward. We say give back. I wanted to
pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
Okay, let me ask you. So from a selfish perspective, what are some of the benefits of teaching when you compare that to your corporate job, your schedule, etc.? What do you think are some of the perks, some of the benefits of working in an educational setting?
Well, the perk is that when I deal with childish behavior, it's from children.
Okay.
That's important.
Yes.
And secondly, there are many hours in education that are not your clock hours, the hours that you are in person at the school. But there are also many break days that are not a part of the corporate structure.
Okay, so you get a better vacation schedule with the teaching job.
Yes, I have, for example, we are approaching the school year's end in a few weeks. And I will have 2 full months of break time. Now, you may choose to do some educational things during that break time, but you're not obligated to choose them. You simply choose them.
Okay, so you have 1 week off in March or April for spring break, 2 weeks off for winter break in December, 1 week off in November for a holiday here in the United States, and then 2 months off for the summer vacation.
Along with about 6 other break days that are holidays
during the school year.
During the school year.
So the school year is 10 months long, but the teachers are paid all 12 months of the school year. That 10-month salary is divided across 12 months.
And you have when you subtract your break days from it, it's a 10-month calendar, but it is not 10 months of work time.
Yes, that's true. Because you get at least a month of vacation holidays. 2 weeks for winter, 1 week for spring,
And
1 week for November. That's already 1 month.
And about 5 or 6 other holidays.
Okay, so that's the good side. So let's see. Let's talk a little bit about what are the requirements. If I want to be a teacher and I'm fresh out of high school, what kind of requirements do I need to meet? Either fresh out of high school or maybe out of college. What kind of requirements do I need to meet to qualify to be a teacher?
Well, you will not qualify fresh out of high school.
Okay.
You will be required, let me back that up. If you want to be a certified primary or high school teacher, you will need a 4-year university degree. That degree may be in education. If it is in education, then you will take the certification exams and go directly into teaching. If you have done like I have, and that degree is not in education, then you will need to have your bachelor's degree graded by an agency or the district that you wish to work in to determine how many of your credits apply to teaching.
Mm-hmm.
If you have enough credits that apply to teaching, then you can go directly into a certification program, which is a 1-year program. If you do not have enough credits that apply to teaching, you will have to go back to the university and take those missing credits. Once you have completed the credits, then you will go into the certification program, which is the 1-year program. You will get a job and work while you're being certified. So that 1-year program is like your training year, internship.
Mm-hmm.
And so you will get paid a salary while you work for that 1 year. You will not be a certified teacher, you will be a teacher in training, but you will have the same responsibilities as a certified teacher. You will have oversight and those who are tutoring you. When you complete that program, then you take the state exams to be certified. If your degree is in education and you do have all the necessary requirements to be in education in the United States, then your degree, if conferred in the United States, will be already certified. You will leave the university with your certification.
Okay, and you qualify to walk right into a classroom.
You're qualified to go to the district that will hire you.
Yes.
And they will place you in a classroom.
And the other cool thing about the industry is that you are hired by the district, the school district. So, for example, the school district covers Houston Independent School District. That means that once I put in my application with the district, I could be called for interviews by many different principals across the district. That could be hundreds of schools that I have I'm in the pool of applicants with hundreds of different schools, and I can be called by various principals from different schools to be interviewed. And there's a high chance of being hired because there's always a need.
Absolutely. There is actually a push to get more teachers because, as you know, nationwide, the United States is experiencing a shortage of educators.
Yes,
I would recommend to anyone applying in a district that is large like the city we live in to have a plan for how far from your house you want to work, because travel time can be lengthy. So I would recommend that a person wishing to work in a district apply to the schools along with other requirements, but with the schools that are within a reasonable traveling distance of where you live. For example, when I was searching for a position and I was contacted by a school that it was 20 miles from my house, which doesn't seem like a bad thing, but the travel time was great. And so when you consider that,
when you add traffic to distance, then it may be further than you're willing to drive, especially if you have your own children at home that you need to get to and you need to drop off before you go to your own job. Okay, so you already said it takes 4 years for your bachelor's degree. If your bachelor's is not in education, then another year for the certification program. That's how long it takes to...
Or if your bachelor's is from outside of the United States.
Okay, or if you have a bachelor's degree that you're having evaluated and it's from another country, then again, you need to get into the alternative certification program.
Right.
And that's a little different conversation because before you can be or will be accepted into the alternative certification program, your degree has to be evaluated. If there are missing credits, you have to go pick up those credits from the university, and you also need to pass the TOEFL exam, English placement exam. And with both of those requirements checked off, then you can go into the certification program. Okay, we said there is a shortage of teachers, so now let's talk about why. Okay, we're gonna go down to question number 9. Do you recommend working in the teaching field as you complete school in order to prepare for a career in teaching? I'm going to repeat that one more time, okay? Do you recommend working in the teaching field as you complete school while you are in the university in order to prepare for a career in teaching?
Wholeheartedly. And let me tell you why.
So that's yes.
Yes. The answer is absolutely yes. And I find that there is no substitute for experience. So there may be education theory, and there may be lesson plan courses
and pedagogy
and learning theory and all the things that we learn at the university. However, when I step into the classroom, and you will not step into the classroom as the teacher of record, you will be a teaching assistant or something of that,
a tutor
or something where you're not the responsible teacher, you're an aide to the teacher. So you will get a position like that as you're still at the university obtaining your degree. When you are one-on-one in contact with the students and you have an opportunity to see how administration, curriculum, criteria, district requirements,
student response, student behaviors,
community involvement or lack thereof, how all of these things come together to impact how you do the work that you're hired to do, that is as important as what you learn at the university. So I fully encourage everyone seeking a degree in education to get a job in education, to have that experience as you go along.
Yes, and yes, I agree. Okay, we mentioned, is it difficult to land a job? We're going to kind of skip that one because we already talked about when you apply with the district, and therefore hundreds of schools can now see your application. So short answer is it's not really difficult considering also the shortage of teachers. I'm going to skip number 11, 12. Let's go to that one. We touched on this, just very quick synopsis. What's the schedule like? What are your hours like in your teaching job?
I teach primary, so in primary we are in session at, depends on the school, but from 7:20 to 7:30, whenever your school starts, between 7:20 to 7:30 a.m. And we are out of session at 2:40 to 2:50, depending on your
Okay,
school.
so the school day starts at about 7:20 and ends at about 3:30?
About 2:50.
2:50, okay.
Just before 3 o'clock.
Okay, in high school, we start at 8:25 a.m. and our last class ends at 4:10 p.m. Kind of late. Okay, okay, let's move forward a little bit. Number 13, what does the typical day in the life of a teacher look like? One more time. What does your typical day in the life of a teacher look like?
Well, I teach 3 sessions, so I prefer arriving early to school because I have to have my time before the children arrive. So my arrival time is 7:20, but I usually arrive around 6:50 to 7 a.m. That gives me time to unpack all of my things that I brought with me, like my computer. I carry that back and forth with me daily. And any copies that I have not finished making that I need to share with the students, I have time to do that. I have time to write anything I need on my boards. And just pass out anything that I want the students to have available when they walk into the classroom. So it allows me prep time to arrive early. From there, because I teach primary, I actually pick the students up from the gathering area, which at our school is the cafeteria. Okay. And I escort them to the classroom. In our school, we eat breakfast in the classroom. So we have breakfast and morning routines until 7:55. Morning routines includes breakfast, writing in your journal, or sharpening pencils, or whatever students need to take care of. Then at 7:55, we start our instructional day. And I teach language arts and reading, so I have about 4 subjects that I'm rolling through with my students. If I were the reading only teacher, I would just teach reading. But because I teach language arts and reading, and I'm also the social studies teacher, we go through about 4 different subjects. Well, they'll definitely have to cut this section out.
Maybe they can just cut it. Okay, because I know it's still going. Dad, hello.
We're recording.
We're recording a video, an interview for something that our project that I'm working on.
So you don't want us in there?
Right.
We don't want you talking and
And
making
the audio,
noise.
because we're on the mic.
Can I go in here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get
because we're
finished.
gonna cut this part out the video.
Yeah, cut that part out. Wait a minute, give me a second, okay? No, why you got your phone in the kitchen?
Because we didn't want anything.
We didn't
in the
want
background,
anything in the
'cause we were
background. We're
recording.
filming also.
What's this?
That
It's
goes
a
with her
stand.
items.
Oh, y'all, let me get one second.
Okay.
I'm not get out your way. Just one. Give me.
I think it's okay. Let's let it go, because we're gonna cut this part out.
Okay.
Okay, so what are some of the boring aspects of teaching?
What
I'm
are
not
the
going
typical
to-
day in the life of a teacher look like? I want to go through a couple more items.
Okay, because we're gonna come back to that, and then I'm gonna go to
No,
15
no,
and 16, 17. I think it's pretty good. Oops, it's a lot of questions. I'm not gonna do 18. I mean, cross it out.
Yeah, put all the stuff back, Ron. We're gonna go upstairs, but you and I can go upstairs. But did you see if she wanted a snack before y'all start over again?
She said she didn't.
Okay, hold on, let me move. Huh?
I didn't say I did it. I said
Right, just let us finish, because we're right here in the middle of this interview, and I haven't paused the audio, the video.
Okay, you said don't talk?
You can talk. I mean, when you all finish, we're gonna restart.
Okay, y'all almost finished, or y'all can take what?
We need about 20 more minutes.
Oh, y'all done moved everything. Oh, y'all got y'all, oh, I didn't see all of that. Hold on, I have to push all this stuff over. Let me see something.
You put things in front of your door.
You all, I'm gonna do one thing. God, let me do
Be
one thing.
careful.
Huh?
Don't fall over that cord.
I know that. Give me a, Ryan, just leave that on the floor and you pick it up. Come on, Ryan. Let's go. I'm rushing ahead. Let's go. They getting ready. I would have gone in the truck, but I don't want to go that far. Come on.
Oh yeah, we can take a little trip.
No, she go get the park
They're
right
gonna
here.
go to the park.
We'll come in here because she gonna come back here, cool off. It's too hot, but I'm gonna take you to the park right across the street, and then y'all let us come back in here. We'll go upstairs. We'll be out your way.
Okay.
Cause you got her own room.
just a park that lives on farming at their house.
Come on, let's go to the park. My dad had his own heart to take you to the park. He didn't push it in his eyes, so that's a good idea. Come on. I'm lock the door because I don't want to go to the door.
Okay, cut out some of them. Okay. All situated. I'm thinking that you should have been sitting here. Because you're the main person being interviewed. And I'm like, here, facing this camera, could have been you.
You want us to move?
Shall we switch? Or would that be weird? Because this is not going to probably be the most, they're probably going to use that audio. I mean, that video.
Okay, so
Let's just switch, okay. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully it's not weird. That can be a side item. Okay. Okay, and then if that goes out, I'll tell you just to hit the thing.
just to touch that.
Yes, ma'am, just to come back, make the video come back. Okay, so you were talking about what a typical day looks like for you. What does the typical day of a teacher look like in primary school?
So after we finish with the morning routines, we start our academic day, and the students are provided with assignments and activities and small group assignments as well that they will work on for that class period. And then we have about a 90-minute block, or a little over 90 minutes, and we close it down. The students will go to what we call ancillary or one of their other classes, and they have 3 rotations throughout the day. There's also a break time and a lunch break. The recess, what we call recess, and lunch together are an hour, and what we call ancillary is anywhere from 45 minutes to 55 minutes. So teachers have their planning period, getting their lessons together and that sort of thing during the time that students have ancillary. And teachers have either recess or lunch duty. They have one of them free, but they work with the students on one of those.
On the other.
Yes. And then all teachers have dismissal duty in elementary school, where we work with the children to get them home safely.
Yes, because a lot can happen from the door of the classroom to the door of the building.
Yes.
Unfortuitously. Okay, let's move to if given the choice, Miss Bourda, would you do it all over again?
Yes.
Would you go back into teaching and go through all the trials and tribulations? Would you do it all over again?
I would do it all over again. I would be smarter.
Do it better. Okay. 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 Well, that was a quick answer to that question. Would you recommend the teaching profession to others?
Let me clarify that.
Okay.
I would, but I recommend it with clear-headed expectations. The moments that you see the teacher in front of the class, or seated at the small group table, or working with them in whatever capacity you observe teachers with students, it took lots of preparation for that moment to happen. There's also cultural norms and expectations. We are a multicultural environment here, and there are many differences in how people approach training children. So you have to have some cultural awareness and sensitivities, and you also have some requirements from districts, principals, school leaders, and others on the amount of success you must achieve with the students. So you cannot go into it starry-eyed.
With these wonderful notions of how you're going to, I guess, help the children. I think the other aspect is student buy-in. How interested is the student in the curriculum and the content, the work that is happening in the class, and the how much value do they place?
And there is lots of areas that need attention and pull on your ability to work with students. But the piece that I always go back to is I work elementary school, and no matter where that student is in their personal development, I figure I'm the adult in the room. And so the students still believe at some level in magic. So we still have the ability to work with primary grade students. I don't want that to sound glossed over, because there are challenges for sure. But I just know, as I said when I started, I understand my audience, my students. I really get it. And because I am an older person, I get it outside of the classroom as well. So maybe if I were going back to the profession now with my experience, I would have traveled a little differently than I have so far. But my goal to help the students has never changed. My ability to negotiate successfully with students has never changed. And when I say negotiate, remember I said I'm the adult. So I am not begging, please, just try. I am negotiating in terms of these are our options and this is what we have to get done. Which way are we gonna do it?
Yes, that's a moment by moment, minute by minute negotiation. Let's see. So we asked if you would recommend the profession. And to be honest, I would have to say, talk to a different teacher, you get a different answer. Okay, it is an extremely challenging job. So that brings us to our next question. What are some of the dark sides of being a teacher? The sacrifices, the unfairness, the abuse. What are some of the dark sides of being a teacher?
We must be realistic. Behaviors, I'm familiar here in the area where I work, I suspect across the globe, but the behaviors are often challenging. We also have the requirement that the student be addressed in the least restrictive environment possible. So that means that in your classroom there are going to be a variety of learners and a variety of behaviors. The curriculum is written as if that weren't true, but it is true. So the sacrifice you have to make is, how can I find enough challenge for the students who are here to learn and enough challenge to attract the students who don't realize they're here to learn? So that is indeed a real challenge, but it is not undoable. It's just a challenge that must be overcome. And the other part is, when I am preparing a lesson, have I sufficiently accounted for the levels that I am teaching? Because students, that group that's here to learn, they are just all over it. You could be the most boring teacher ever to face a class and they would be right with you every step. But the ones who are not convinced that they're here to learn are not going to be with you unless you are. I'm often saying I'm not an edutainer, I'm an educator, but you better have some edutainer in you. Because
some entertainment.
Yes, because there is just not going to be enough to challenge students who have no intent to learn if you do not have a way to gather them in. And so there are a number of ways to do that, but the goal is not to play a game, the goal is to learn.
Right, and if you're playing a game in the process of doing that, fine, but it can't be in substitute of doing
Yes,
that.
it must be playing a game that teaches. It cannot be playing a game to play a game.
A game. Okay, and does that go into the things every teacher hates? What are some of the things that ask 50, 100, 1,000, you get some of the same responses?
Well, most teachers agree that lesson plans are for administrators. They're not for the students or the educators. I need an outline. My administrator needs a lesson plan. Okay. Activities are interesting only a couple times. So you can't just keep using them over and over and over again. They must be changed. So the amount of research you have to do to prepare the lesson plans that are, my lesson plans would be just the outline, like I said. But my administrators would not be happy with those lesson plans because they would not be convinced that that tells them what they need to know about what's going on in the classroom. So the amount of work you have to do to present that. And then secondly, the amount of challenge that you must face and have the energy to be on your A game next, and your A game again, and your A game again. It's intense. And I think if you speak with any teacher, any honest teacher, they will tell you that they leave school some days just so exhausted that they really have to rest before they can go back the next day. But it is the greatest challenge you're ever going to love.
Okay, we're actually going to skip down to the bottom, and we may answer this question together because that's my background working, well, you have that as well, working with international students. But number 27, do you know if an international student could come to the U.S., complete school, and be accepted into a teacher certification program and work as a teacher in the United States?
So if an international student came to the United States and completed their degree here in the United States, then they could be accepted into the certification program because their degree would be conferred here in, when I say the United States, state by state, they certify the degrees. So they would have an American degree.
University degree.
So they would qualify for an alternative certification program. But state by state, there may be some state requirements that were not addressed in that degree that they may have to take several classes at the university to complete the state requirements. But they would still be able to get into a certification program, and they would still be able to get a job as a teacher here in the United States. But state by state, it could differ.
Let me add a little caveat in there. The beautiful one, I think, huge benefit about the teaching profession in the United States is you can come to the United States to study, to get a university degree, and you can finish the degree. If you come for a degree, then most likely you're going to be on a student visa. And most degree programs, once you finish school, you have finished the length of that student visa, and at that point you return to your home country and you continue your career in your home country unless you're hired by an employer, and that can be challenging because they would have to sponsor you on a work visa. With teaching, once you finish the university, you have to go into an alternative certification program if your degree is not in education. You can get into the alternative certification program, and there is a program in the teaching industry where you could have a work visa sponsored, and I believe it's a 5-year period. You would need to work in a Title I school. Title I means you're working with a certain demographic of students from poorer neighborhoods, less resources, more challenging population of students to work with. And then after, I believe, 5 years, you would qualify for permanent residency. That's a program with the education industry field department here in the United States. But I do not want to be just starry-eyed about what 5 years of working in a Title I school looks like. During that university study, take some time to go and work or go and volunteer even in those environments so you can see what the student behavior is and what you're signing up for. Okay, so I think that concludes our questions and our interview. I just want to thank you for your time and all of the wonderful, bountiful information that you gave us about the profession. And thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.